Can speak now to Sean Carroll, who is the President and CEO of UNRWA, which provides humanitarian assistance to vulnerable communities. He joins me live from Washington, D.C. I appreciate it, Sean. You've got decades of experience in this area of administering humanitarian aid. And as I understand it, you run your own healthcare centres in Gaza. So I want to know, what are your staff witnessing there in terms of the numbers and in terms of the types of injuries that they're having to deal with?
Well, it's all kinds. I mean, we're doing community health care. They're not hospitals equipped to do surgery, but we're there. We do post-surgery therapy, physical therapy. We're looking at skin diseases. We're looking at nourishment, malnutrition, women and child health. There's a lot of skin disease from the sanitary conditions, and we are seeing a lot of people injured and recovering from injury.
Now, the organisation distributes food in Gaza. I imagine there must be a lot of people coming in, not just who are starving, but actually suffering physically from malnutrition. What are you witnessing there?
Yeah, it's the combination. You know, we may not yet be at the point where people are dying strictly and exclusively of starvation, but the combination of malnourishment, of lack of nutritious food, of lack of enough food, of disease, of unsanitary conditions means that things are getting desperate, and they can't go on much longer like this.
How frustrating is it for you and your colleagues when presumably there is a large availability of aid, of food, of medicine, and all the things that people desperately need that could be going into the Gaza Strip? I don't know if it's like waiting at the border, but you can't seem to get it in.
No, well, the borders have been completely closed by Israel after 2 months of a ceasefire and about 6 weeks of aid coming in. And Israel proved what everyone in the humanitarian community had been saying from the start of the war, that with enough manpower, with the political will, with the borders open, with enough hours, then the aid community around the world, UN agencies, international NGOs like UNRWA, in partnership with local NGOs, we can get the aid in and delivered. Israel was allowing 700 trucks a day in for about 6 weeks. So it's really just a question of political will. It's a question of humanity. If this isn't changed soon, then I think everyone will regret the actions or the inaction of not allowing aid in, including Israelis. Israelis are beginning to see on a wider scale, a larger proportion of the Israeli population, I believe, and certainly the rest of the world is seeing that this doesn't serve anyone's interest, that humanitarian aid cannot be instrumentalized, politicized. This is against international humanitarian law. It's against human principles and humanity, and it has to stop or people will die unnecessarily, innocent people, and their remaining family members will only grow resentful.
And Sean, I mean, you pretty much suggested it there, instrumentalized, politicized. I mean, the way it looks and the way that the critics call it is that Israel is using starvation as a weapon. It is trying to starve Palestinians out of Gaza, and that there's no other reason for doing it. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, and I think it's increasingly how many people who are looking objectively at this, again, including many Israelis and people who've supported Israel and the state of Israel. Aryeh Neier, almost a year ago, declared that this was, in his view, a genocide, not because or not solely because of the number of people killed and injured, but because of the restrictions on aid, particular food aid. And at the beginning of this war, after the October 7th massacre, Israel reacted, as much of the world might imagine they would, and closed the borders immediately, a complete siege. There's always been a siege and a blockade over the past 18 years on Gaza, but a complete siege. But that went on for 2 weeks. And this has now been going on for 10 weeks, for 7 weeks. It can't go on much longer. And this is really a desperate situation.
Sean, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Sean Carroll is my guest, President, CEO of UNRWA.